Can we meet you?
Well, thank you for having me today. I'm super excited to be here and to share this conversation with you and other women. My name is Mutuaya Adefamuti. My background is in law. I'm a UK and a US trained attorney, and I have been an attorney for a couple of decades. But in the last few years, I found myself drifting solely to finance. I started investment when I was young, and so that has sort of driven my path towards finance. And I went into finance full time in the last probably about 8, 9 years now. So that's in a nutshell. That's me. I run a company called Money Stewards. We're headquartered in Houston, Texas. And what we do is we source investments for clients all over the world, specifically investments in real estate. We also have paper asset advisory. And then we also have the academy where we actually teach people how to invest, how to manage money, personal finance, investment, and all of those things. So that is me in a nutshell.
But you are one of my, you challenge me. I look at you and I want to do more. And, I read your book, Shame Money.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was like, oh my God. I said it wasn't an accident that our ways crossed, our paths crossed, because I was reading it. I was just nodding. I said, yes, this is it. I said, every woman needs to see this book. So I said, I'll ask you, what was your inspiration? What inspired you to write this book, to put it out there?
So a couple of things I was thinking about. First of all, I realized that getting started is the biggest obstacle to anything successful. People feel intimidated to start, they procrastinate, they're lazy, all kinds of things. But I think the biggest hindrance to starting anything is just lack of knowledge and fear. And so I decided that, and I know generally people will encourage ourselves to be entrepreneurs, we encourage ourselves to be investors and all of those things. And I said, what can I do to simplify this thing and present it to people in a way that they can actually consume it and understand it and run with it? Yeah. And I thought of how I started. I thought of my mom, who's been my biggest inspiration all through my life. And she started very humbly. She didn't have a university degree. She had kids, about 3-4 kids, before she ventured into working for herself. At the time, she couldn't get a job, obviously. So she started, and she just started with 2 items of clothing. She bought 2 items of clothing for my sister. She decided that this dresses are beautiful. Maybe, who knows, I can sell it for a bit more than I bought it. She branches to one of her friends' place. She sells it for double. And she was in shock that I can't believe I make double of my money in a few hours. And that was the start, really. And she went back, got more clothes, repeated the process, went to another person. And if you look at the book, Shame Money, it chronicles her journey. Not just her journey, journeys of others that are similar to hers. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it in a very simple way that, you know what, if you just put one brick after the other, one step after the other, you can actually make things happen. And that was my inspiration for writing the book, Shame Money, because there's this quadrant I teach of different sources of income. And we can get into that later. But I think, and that's where the shame money came. And I used to talk about it, and people started encouraging me that you talk about this thing, shame money, what does it mean? Why don't you put it in a book? And I ended up doing a course about it. I put it in a book and a movement. Now I'm thinking about putting in a foundation doing a foundation behind it. So the whole concept of shame money, for those that don't know about it, is basically encouraging people. Everyone has a skill, a talent, a gifting that they can monetize, but they are ashamed of what people are going to say about them. That's the whole concept of shame money. So, for instance, I was an assistant vice president in the financial industry, and I loved smoothies, and I thought I could make money from selling smoothies to people. But here I was as an AVP. Will I start selling smoothies and I just thought one day I'm going to get my act together. I couldn't go open a store somewhere because that would take too much of my time and resources, which I probably didn't have at the time. So I said, you know what, let me just start with 1 or 2 bottles, sell it to my colleagues. And that's how it started. And the whole concept was I was ashamed selling smoothies. Mm-hmm. Here I am getting in my car when my driver would drop me in the office. And I would have to start selling smoothies for for less than $1, for sometimes 50 cents, 30 cents. I mean, how much profit am I going to make from that? But I knew that if I didn't overcome that shame, I'd never be able to build something great. And so there's a talent and skills. So some people are doctors, maybe they need to pick up a couple of hours doing some cleaning somewhere, or being a nanny somewhere. You know, the whole concept is that, look, you shamed it. You are ashamed to do this thing. You've named it, you've shamed it. Now go ahead and fame it, do the work. So when people ask you, what do? You can say, you know what, I'm actually a doctor, but I have a shame money business. And the shame money is, you know what, I do security work in the evening. And people, so you can people can begin to identify with that. You know what, you're being a security person doesn't mean you're less than. No, you just need that money will pay for maybe your utility bills. So that was the whole concept of shame money. And the more I talked about it, the more people latched onto it. And I said, you know what, let me just create a movement around this thing. And that just snowballed into a course, a book, and so on and so forth. So that's the whole premise of shame money. And so I encourage people, and it's a journey I've walked through, that, you know what, you are ashamed to do this thing. Okay. So now just focus on, let's just say, you know what, it's shameful. But now that you shamed it, you're empowered. Go ahead and make that extra income, because we all need that extra income one way or the other.
Exactly. And I love that your put. You know, you said you own it, you own it, you name it, you shame it,
and then you fame it.
And it's like, I was like, but that is the truth, because when you own it and you give it a name, you shame it, because when you're ashamed of something and you come out plain, right? You come out right to people, they will have nothing to make you ashamed of anymore. And then from there, it becomes your plain pattern. Wow, that was a nice one.
You're right. And even me, every moment, I still think, what is my shame money business right now? And no matter how executive or how successful money stewards get, I always think, I need to do something, a shame money business this month. Even if, because sometimes we can't sort of do something massive or something big, but just something little to get started with. So I say, you know what, I need to do a shame money business a month or two. It will give me that extra income and that extra boost. So
good. Okay, that's very good. Like, I really love that book, and I would encourage every woman. In fact, I would encourage everybody to get it, especially women. I say women because, women, we have this disadvantage somehow as women. Studies shows that women are more likely to leave their career for their family, right? So you see that a lot of women will prefer to stay home, take care of the family, than pursue a lot of high-end careers. Okay, so this will be a good thing for women to really look at and be like, well, I can be at home for now, and then I'll have like shame money, like a shame business or something like that. And you're making your money and you're growing it, and little by little, by the time you're ready to go back out there, you see that you've gained skills, you started building your wealth, and lots more. If I may ask, like, was this shame money, or was your mom's story part of the reason why you went into the financial industry? Because I see that you are very big on it and you are very knowledgeable.
Well, I think that my journey, I would love the law. I qualified in England and Wales and qualified in New York. I really wanted to practice, and I did. But I ended up getting married to a lovely gentleman who traveled all over the place every 3 years or thereabouts. So I realized that holding down law is a very local career. I couldn't successfully, I can't be qualified in different countries all over the place. So I decided that I needed to start a business. Okay, I needed to start something. And that's what I realized, that law wasn't going to, because if we move to South Africa, will I go to the bar there? And I just decided that, you need to build something on your own. And I just started. And I thought, what do you love? Because it's always good to start with what you like and what you know about. I realized that a year before, I'd been following the stock market. And at this time, this was in 2016. I didn't used to trade. I knew about real estate. I didn't used to trade and all of that. So And then with Netflix, I just noticed that the Netflix was hovering between 90 something dollars and $110. And I just thought, well, be patient, let it come to 90 something dollars, get to 100 and whatever dollars and sell it and see if you can make a profit. And I did. My first profit was $2,700.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. If I can just teach myself these things, and this could be some decent income. And that's how I started to trade. My heart really was in real estate, but real estate is very capital intensive. And I've been in real estate for a very long time. Okay. Again, the story of me getting into real estate was actually quite a funny one, because I'd finished my university in England, I'd done my New York bar. I couldn't get any job. I tried hard. I couldn't get a job. I went back to do my master's and went back to do my law school. It was still a struggle for me. At the time, I ended up working in a very small firm. They were paying me less than they would ever pay me in McDonald's or in KFC. So way less than the minimum wage. It was about £400 a month I was earning. I had to pay for transport, I had to pay utility bills, feed myself. So it was really living hand to mouth.
Wow.
But here's the thing, it was a property company, and I just had a realization that, you know what, maybe one day I could buy my own property. If I rented it out, I could get extra income that I could survive on. And that's how I entered into the real estate space. I applied for the first mortgage. I was turned down, the second and the third. But the thing is that with each application, I got better. And eventually I got a company, a bank to give me 100% mortgage at the time.
Wow.
And by some miracle, I was able to raise the closing cost. And I started with the property. After I pay all my expenses, I had about just under £400 left. So which was a good income, because that was almost what I was earning. And then I bought another property, and that's how it really started. So all that journey, I can say I stumbled into investments because I needed to make extra income. So that's how I started real estate. How I started stocks, I've kind of told you. I was laid off in the financial space, which was great. I was let go. I went on a maternity leave. I was asked not to come back, and I needed to. And I remember, I went into prayer. I'm a prayerful Christian, and I went to, and I just felt the Holy Spirit saying to me, asking me the question I was asking him. It says, "What do you have in your hands?" And I said, "I just been laid off. What do you mean? I don't have anything." He said, "What do you have in your hands?" And I just remember the parables. The widow in Sarafat, she had a little bit of oil and flour. That was what she had. That was what she used. The talent, that's what they had. That's what they used. And so this moral of the story is that if you don't use what you have, you will even lose the little you have. So I said, okay, I understand. I love real estate. I understand property. I don't have the money. The stock thing, I understand it. I understand personal finance. Maybe I can start to teach people. And that's how I started. I started to teach people for free, just encouraging people. And from that, the feedback, I would go back and learn, teach more. And it just snowballed from there. And eventually people were saying, you can teach me about how to trade stocks. Why don't you trade for me? I said, well, I'm not a stockbroker. I said, well, you can trade better than me because you taught me. And little by little, I would encourage them to open accounts. I'll teach them how to do it. And really, I opened an Instagram account on Money Stewards, and I felt like I had to be posting, and I'll be posting stuff, and literally just snowballed from there. People see what you do, people ask you questions, and then over time, I started to charge a little bit for my knowledge, and we went into real estate. Fortunately for me, I was able to talk to a couple of investors. We raised money together and went into real estate. And honestly, it's just been one greatness after the other. We went through a lot, but here we are today doing massive deals, and I'm humbled and I'm grateful. Wow. And so, like I said, anything you're going to do, just get started. Okay. Don't be stuck in the job you're not happy about. Start something for yourself and grow it. And I have to warn you, it requires you getting out of your comfort zone a lot. You're going to be afraid. You're going to fail. But you need to have a lot of patience and learn and keep learning. And if you're failing, it's okay, because everybody fails. And if you fail more, then that means you're trying more, even better. But fail forward. Fail, learn, move on. Fail, learn, move on.
Fail, learn, move on. FLM. Fail, learn, move on.
Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in regret, and that's even worse.
That's interesting. Wow. So while you were talking, I got something from what you said. wealth building, okay? Because you looked at it, you thought about building wealth for yourself. And you and I know that, yes, there has been an increase in some financial literacy, but women generally don't think of building wealth, like wealth building. You didn't just think of buying this property and maybe having it for yourself or staying there by yourself and with your family, but you were thinking of how will this asset generate more income for me, like sustainability. So I want to ask, do you think that generally women, or let me rephrase it, let me put it this way, what can you say makes women not to like really think about wealth building? Does it have anything to do with financial literacy?
I think that's probably the starting point. Financial literacy. When
Okay.
you know better, you do better. And if you don't know, then well, you can't do anything. So knowledge is important. You need to get the right knowledge. But beyond that, who are your associates? Who are your mentors?
Okay.
Who are you gleaning knowledge from? All those things are extremely important. I mean, finance is a massive space and it's very daunting to a lot of people. Not everyone can just say, you know what, I want to wake up and start trading on the New York Stock Exchange. Or start trading on this or start buying properties. Where do I start from? This is daunting, But even if it's just, I started by just learning about the basics of personal finance. With what you have, what are you doing with what you have? Don't go seeking for something that you don't have because you're going to waste it. If I give you $1 million today, you probably run the $1 million to the ground because you don't know what to do with it. But if you have $1,000 in your pocket, even if it's $100 you have in your pocket, start with that. All right. There's stocks you can buy for $3, $4, $5. There's stocks you can buy for less than $1. Maybe with your $100, start trading. In Canada, open a platform, a trading platform. If you don't know what to do, go online. How do you open a trading platform? Go to your bank. Maybe they have a trading platform you can use. Start with that. Something very simple and basic. Do you see what I'm saying? So buy one of Robert Kiyosaki's books, buy Rich Dad Poor Dad, any of his books. It teaches you the basics of personal finance and investing and so on and so forth. So if you look at these things, it's so basic the information is now so free that there is no excuse, Who are you following on your Instagram? If you're following makeup artists, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with makeup artists. Yeah. They earn a good living there. It's a business. Do your face. I wear makeup. That's great. But if you have 100 followers and 95 of them are fashionistas, beauticians, and so on, then that's what you're learning. You are learning to beautify yourself. You're not learning to create wealth. Do you see what I'm saying? So if your followers are more people like they're teaching on real estate, on Airbnb, on stocks, on mutual funds, or anything, then that's where you're gleaning to. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Kind of so just start with something very basic. Listen to YouTube messages that can be uplifting. And you don't even need to start by paying anybody or any course. Yeah. I say, when you're comfortable with getting a lot of information, you're inspired, then begin to look at which course can teach you this skill, which course can expand on that skill, and so on. And then one foot outside the other, fine. What is the basics of, you want to get started, what is the basics of personal finance? Personal finance means you can plan your finance. That's what it means. Exactly. So you have $100. I don't know whether you're into paying tithe and offering, that's 10%. Maybe you pay, you have your expenses. All your expenses should not be more than 50%. Come on. Okay. If it's more than 50% of your earnings, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. Okay. I had properties in UK. I started when I was about 20, acquiring properties in the UK. By the time I was 25, I had a good property portfolio. And guess what? I didn't live in any of those properties. I couldn't afford to. Why would I? Some of the properties the minimum rent I would collect was £1,000. Okay. I went to rent a room somewhere where I was paying £220. I don't need an apartment. I was a single lady. Why do I need a 2-3 bedroom apartment? So I would rent that out to get money. And I put myself in a rental where I was just paying £220 a month. Yeah. And because it was a rental, I rented it next to my job, which was 5 minutes walk, which means I didn't need a car. Okay. So I could cut out that expense. And well, the good thing, it wasn't in America, it was in London. England is quite small. So I would walk to groceries, do so many things. So I called my expenses. It wasn't because I couldn't afford to carry the designer bags or wear the designer shoes or so, but I had a priority. I had a plan. You must have a plan. You can't just let your finances be up in arms, You
Yeah.
have to have a plan. So if you're earning £100, cut your expenses within what you're earning and
Yeah.
find a way to earn an extra income. That is the starting point. Okay, it's no use when I see people, oh, I want to be this, I want to be big, I want to be great. You're aiming to fly when you cannot even crawl. You have to start from the basics. Otherwise, if you keep on treading that path, you are eating your dinner for breakfast, which is wrong. So you get to a stage, you don't have retirement, and you're trying to put your expenses on the next generation. I have a warning for you.
Yeah.
Our children, they're not in the business of taking care of us. You have to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. Our expenses are much more than our parents' expenses. Oh, my mom didn't work. She stayed at home. I want to take care of the kids. That was then. They didn't have microwave. They weren't going on summer trips. They weren't into designers. They were into farming. They had the basics to survive and they were content. This generation is different. We have a lot of expenses. So you can't afford just to be a housewife, just sit down and do nothing. Yes, my husband earns a lot of money and he encourages me to sit at home. In that home, what business have you built?
Yeah.
I started money stewards at home. I still work from home. Do you see what I'm saying? I still work from home.
Yeah.
And so there are lots of things that we women are very naive about. And a lot of us, I'm sorry, we're just not disciplined. We're in it for the show. You're in it for the bags.
Yeah.
You're in it for the show. And you're just not going to make a headway doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Like, in fact, from all that you've said, women need to really be intentional about their finances and about their lives generally, because the time has passed when we just depend on men to cater for us and take care of all of our needs. Like, the demands these days, they keep piling up, the bills keep piling up, and you and I know that only woman can take care of all those things, no matter how much he earns or how much he makes.
Even men want support.
Exactly.
Which man, I'm funny. I love when women say, "Oh, they have specs for their husbands." Even men have plenty specs. There's no man that wants to marry an empty head.
Yeah.
There's no man that wants to marry a liability. Nobody wants to do that. Even the men these days, they're like, I want my wife to be this, that, savvy, and all of those things. Not just the facial or the the beauty or the shape. No, they want more than that. They have their own list.
Yes. All women that are supportive. Okay, so you said something about children, our children. And children have mothers or women have a way with children, So I want to ask, do you think that if women become more intentional with their finances, with wealth building, with being self-sufficient when it comes to money businesses, do you think it will impact positively on the next generation building wealth for themselves?
In fact, we owe it a duty. We owe it to ourselves and our unborn generation to be savvy. So you're not just savvy financially because of yourself. Okay. You're not just trying to make a great life for yourself. You are trying to teach your children and your children's children and the ones unborn exactly how it's done. Yeah. I mean, I can't say, oh, I was this because I'm so fantastic. I had a head start with my mom. My mom did a lot of work. She never sat down to teach me about money. That's the thing. We learn from what we see, not necessarily what we hear. She never said to me, this is how you do business. This is what you do. This is how you, no. I watched that woman wake up and leave the house at 4 a.m. in the morning to go to the market. Mm-hmm. I watched her drive pickups when she couldn't afford a driver. Wow. And when she could afford a driver, then she would drive the second car. I watched her driving. I watched her, gather all her siblings to carry. I mean, when they bring she was a wholesaler. She was a wholesaler of several products, materials, school materials, building materials, all sorts. They would bring some of those things to the house. I watched those things. And I watched her at night on Tuesday, because there was something called Aswani Market in Lagos then. Yeah. She would bring in Naira, Ghana must go in those big bags, Naira. And all of us would sit down and start straightening the Naira for her and start counting it for her. I watched it. I wasn't told what to do. And so I knew that you worked and the reward was money. So
Yeah.
he worked to earn money. Money did not grow in money was not found in mommy's bag. Money was found through hard work. I understood that. And then when I grew up, she would talk to me about investment, how she bought a land for maybe $5,000 and is worth $50,000 today, how she bought this and she bought that. And I listened as well, you know, and I started on my own journey. And the truth of the matter is I had to make my own mistakes. I had to chart my own course. I didn't want to sell what she was selling, but I took the skills and the lessons that she gave to me over the years and what I saw, and I used it to build mine. And doing it, my child sees what I do.
Yeah.
He sees trading on the stock. I don't know whether you've seen any of my son's videos.
No, I've not.
Okay. So my son's, and I was deliberate about it when he was young. I gave him a piggy bank and I made him collect coins around the house, and that was his reward. Sometimes he would do some chores. No, I'm not paying him to work in the house, but I was rewarding him. I wanted to teach him the essence of money. Maybe when on a vacation, I'll say this, my husband will say, this is the $50 that you have to spend in this entire vacation. If you want to spend it on ice cream, then that's it. If you want to buy on spending on t-shirt. And I began to see that he was very prudent with his own money. He would ask for anything, but their own money they won't spend anyhow. You'd be surprised. They're very smart.
Yes.
At the age of 9, I introduced him to Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. He watched the entire series. At 10 years old, my son started to trade on the stock market.
Wow.
So he looks at me, he says, Mom, I want to learn how to trade on stocks. I'm like, 10 years, and I'm like, where do I even start to teach this boy from? And I said, okay, you know what, watch these YouTube videos, I'll come back and we'll talk. He came back, asked a few questions. I gave him some more videos to watch. And all of a sudden, this guy, he was spending hours watching the stock, watching stocks, listening to CNBC, watching CNN, anything he could find himself, and he would read investors' report. He would read letters from Warren Buffett. He knew, and before you know it, he knows all there is to know about trading stocks, mutual fund. It does crypto, forex, all these things.
Impressive.
And now he's teaching people. Now that is what he loved. Some kids is coding, some kids is fashion, some kids is dancing. Whatever your children want to do, encourage them to do. But for me, and he has his all kinds of extracurricular activities. But what I was deliberate about with him is that, look, you have to understand the money. Money it's not enough for me to say, well, here's a inheritance. I don't even want to give inheritance to a child that's going to squander it. I don't. Otherwise, there'll be no Rockefeller today. There'll be no Ford today. Okay, I need to build your skills. And so we gave him money, he started trading on the stock exchange himself. He's grown his own portfolio to whatever it is now, and he's teaching people to do the same. So that skill would never have been, my son would never be trading today if he never saw me trade. Or we were a family that once it's 9:30 and the bell goes off for the morning. We're all discussing. No, this is what we're buying. I'm buying today. I'm like, no, I'm buying this. And he participates in that conversation, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, yes. Especially during the pandemic when the stock was just going up and down. It was a competition to see who was going to make what. But it was fun bonding time. But most importantly, it was a learning time for us. Yeah. So I encourage you, but you can't teach what you don't know. Teach them how to save, even if that's all you can teach them. Teach them personal finance, how to manage your expenses, you know?
Okay. I wanted to ask a question, but you have touched so much about on it. I wanted to ask, how can women actually take practical steps to improve their financial literacy? Like now you're saying save. A lot of women don't know how to save. In fact, a lot of women don't even save. Okay. And then how would they be able to now tell their children save? What do you think that we can do generally as women, like to try to secure our future financially? Because, you know, these days with what happens, a man dies, okay, like let's say in Africa, I think it's even general, right? If the man is usually mostly the breadwinner, and then something happens to the man and the funds are no more coming in, the women bear most of the brunt. they now do what the man does, what the woman does, and then taking care of children and all that. What are some things that you would advise women to do to help to secure their future financially, so that in the event in case there are eventualities, they won't find themselves, in a very uncomfortable situation?
Okay, so that's a couple of questions. I'll try and answer it, but if whichever I don't answer, make sure you bring it back to my focus. Okay, so you see, and it's a very important question. So thank you for answering that question, because I counsel a lot of people, and I used to work in the estate planning space, and I've seen men die, and literally within weeks or months, the woman is out of the house, thrown away with kids.
Yeah.
And this is our reality, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So that's why I say to people always, my husband, doesn't want me to work. He has all the money we need. I don't really know what he does, but he has a lot. All those things, they don't work anymore. This is 2021. Get your act together is the first thing I'll say to you.
Yeah.
The husband that you think has money, it has been proven. A lot of people in Nigeria, they die, and all of a sudden you find out that this man dies with millions and billions of debt in Naira.
Yes, that's true.
So that comfort home that you currently have, that, oh, this is our house, I furnished it, my husband built it, that's the first thing that's going to go. The bank is coming to take it, because he died with so much debt.
Yeah.
And we've seen prominent businessmen, I don't need to mention names. So that's one thing. The second thing is that even if those things are his, then you see the families that will come from the woodwork and say, you know what, get out. This is our son's house, we're taking over. You don't need to be in that position. Start to understand and take care of yourself. And men, also, you need to see, you lived with your wife, presumably you love her and still love her before you died.
Yeah.
And even if you didn't, you love your children. There's nothing, be transparent with your finances. Let your wife know what she has. Why do you think all these banks in Nigeria became wealthy? Because a lot of men will die, their wives don't know what they have, and it will just go into the pot of the bank, and nobody ever claims it. Don't put yourself in that position. Expose to each other what each other has, And I also understand you have to balance it, because sometimes some women hide their assets or some men hide their assets because the other party, their spouse, is very frivolous and will spend anything anyhow. So all of those things, you need to manage it. You need to start looking at financial counseling. You need to get help. You need to cope your excesses. And you need to work. If you're a woman whereby you're solely dependent on your husband, who's a breadwinner, you need to understand that you need to bring extra income into the house. You don't know today you're in the house, tomorrow you could be on the street. Anything can happen. And sometimes you look at it, no, it can't happen to me. It can happen to anyone.
Yes.
Anyone.
That's true.
I hope I answered all your questions. I know that maybe I missed one or two.
I think you answered everything, because the question was how women can, try to protect themselves against eventualities when it comes to finance, in case the man is no more there, and practical steps are ways that what things that they can do, to get more financially literate to achieve this. And
also, just to add, even if because I know some, and I painted quite a bit of scenario, because again, I'm in the finance world, I get this question all the time, and I counsel people and I have sessions with people. Sometimes your husband is not interested in telling you what he has or doesn't. And sometimes the only thing you can do is control what you can do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to put up, you have to be very stern. Sometimes you just have to do what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You need to be able, and today I thank God the kids have gone to school, because if you're not careful, the kids will leave you at home. One day they will go, and then you're just there. You're in your 40s, in your 50s. You don't have a skill. You can't get a job. You don't know anything about business. You can't start a new business. The kids you spend the 2 decades of your life that where you give up everything for, they're all back. They've all moved on to universities, or they're working, or they're getting married. And then it's just you with nothing. So you have to think 5 steps ahead. So start a little business. Start a shame money business. Or get a little of a job somewhere that can begin to make you relevant. Whether it's a job, whether it's a business, anytime you're using your brains, your brain, you're multiplying. Remember the story of the talent. What you don't lose, you will lose eventually. So
Exactly.
in time you will stumble here and there, but eventually you will get yourself together. And so just start today. I don't care whether in your 40s or 50s, you can get started. And there's scores of people that have even gotten started in their 60s. So
Yes.
we know the story of KFC. So
yeah, exactly.
Get started.
Wow, this is so much information. And I know that you, okay, like there are a lot of people here, like me, I want to come learn from you. I want to come learn from you. So I also know that there are so many people that will see you today and they want to, they want to be like you, like they want to achieve some of these things that you have achieved. So I want to ask, if somebody like me now wants to come learn how to trade from you, is it possible? Or, get some wisdom from you. And I know there's another book you wrote that talked about your own 4 quadrants, not that of Robert Kiyosaki. that was, in fact, that's a big grammar. Like I looked at it, I said, wow, I've never seen these 4 rivers like this.
Nobody ever looks at the 4 rivers the same after they've broken down. So just to expand on what you say. So the name of my company is Money Stewards. You can send us a DM very easily on Instagram. Okay. We're Money Stewards. So Stewards is STEWARDS. Okay. You find us on all the social media platforms. Send us a message. We're just, I run what we call a mentorship program. That's a good starting point. If you click on the link on our bio on Instagram, you can get it. Okay. Or just send us a DM on Instagram. We'll tell you how to get the bundle. So that's one. You can also get the book that way. And the book is currently on Amazon, but we did a revised edition. So you can send us a DM again so that we can get you the revised edition. Okay. So you can get our book, you can get the bundle, or you can book a session with us. Okay. If you want to book a financial session with me, you can book a session with you and your husband where I go through all your finances. I look at it, or maybe you want to invest. We can talk through a couple of investment options. You want to learn how to trade, anything you want to learn. A session with me. Learning is lifelong. And sometimes I know it's easy for you to buy that bag or pay that bill rather than invest in your learning. Listen, I won't be sitting down here in front of you today if I didn't invest in my learning. I've invested literally hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in my financial education. Yeah. I've made mistakes that I would never have made if I had just had a mentor like myself to teach or to handhold through the process. And I understand finance. I studied in UK. I lived in UK, in America, so I understand the Western world finance. I understand the Nigerian finance, because what works in Nigeria doesn't necessarily work in America. And it's better.
Right. Exactly.
I'll give you an example, mortgage. In Nigeria, the mortgage is 20-something%. In America, it's 3-4%. In Canada, the same thing, just similar above inflation rate. So there's some circumstances that you shouldn't be getting mortgage in Nigeria, So there's a way to plan. So and there's scores of other examples. Things they're different in Western world. In the Western world, we have infrastructure, we have currency strength, which we don't have in Nigeria. The inflation is high. There's constant currency depreciation, and so on and so forth. So all of those things, I discuss it usually in my mentorship sessions or in my one-on-one sessions. So you can reach me, through any of those mediums. And for people that are looking to invest in properties, we get properties for people for less than 40% of its actual value because we focus on foreclosure. We also get property. There's so many things that we do and so many help that we can offer. So just send us a DM, whatever it is you're looking for, where we definitely can help with. Even if we can't help, we know how to point you into the right direction. But what I'll say is that the investment in oneself pays the most interest.
Yes, I agree with you totally. I know what I'm saying. You will come back and thank me later because your life will never remain the same. Your finances will not be the same again. You need to go pick that book and you need to have a session with her because what she shares, and follow her on Instagram at Money Stewards because what she shares, in fact, every time I go there because, I need to be getting some fresh inspiration and knowledge.
Inspiration. Yeah. Even I go there to check it out. To also get inspiration as well.
Yeah. So it's so good to have you here. So I don't know if you have final words for us before we go.
I want to encourage you, woman to woman, And it's tough being a woman because you wear so many hats, and sometimes you can confuse you. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you don't know what to do, who to talk to. Anchor on God. God has been my greatest anchor, but He's also giving us men to support us. There's nothing that you want. He's not going to come down and do it for you. He's going to send men to you, men and women. Exactly. So get started on your journey. There's nothing that you want to do that you don't need finance for. If you want to build a church, you need money. If you want to build a business, you need money. You want to get married, you want to raise children, anything of value that you want to do, you need money. Okay. And you need to build that money. And whatever resource you have, you can get started with that resource.
Yeah.
I started with shame money. I was selling smoothies. My gain on a bottle was about 50 naira or 100 naira. I didn't think about the gain, because if I thought about the gain, I'd never do the business. Because certainly as an AVP in the financial services, I was earning way more than I could make on that smoothies, on the smoothies I was selling. But I went ahead because I wanted to build something. And with the build, I had to let go of my ego. I had to let go of my shame. I had to let go of all those things. And so I started to build my shame money business. And eventually, when I was let go of the financial services, which I didn't see coming, it was some of the savings that I had built in my share money business, and I transferred it to Fame Money, and Money Steward started. Today, Money Steward is a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
And we do projects. We have several projects that we're working on with several clients of ours. We can't even keep up with some of the demands from our clients. So just one step at a time. Okay. And that business, you will fail. You will stumble. You will crack your ribs while you're at it, but never give up. Yeah. Whatever you do, keep on going ahead, one brick after the other, one step in front of the other. Okay. It takes time to build. Don't do a business plan that will make you cash flow positive in the next 4 or 5 months. It hardly ever happens. It takes years to be successful. If you look at it statistically, first 3 years, 90% of businesses fail. Of the 10% that survive, another 80% will fail within 5 years. Do not be a statistic, because I forewarned you. There are times I wanted to quit. There are times that in my mind it was over because I didn't see a way forward, but I kept at it. I kept on my journey. And today it is a testimony.
Yeah.
Whatever you don't use, you will lose. If you don't use that part of your creativity, eventually you lose it. And the little that you have, your God will take it and give it to somebody that can make greatness out of it. Yeah. So we all have skills and talent. I'm in the finance space. I don't know what it is your giftings are. Maybe some of you want to sing, some of you want to dance, some of you want to set up a business of some kind, or some of you are in the career journey. If you're in a career journey, I'll talk briefly about the 4 sources of income. The Bible says 4 rivers watered the Garden of Eden. You know what those 4 rivers mean? It means 4 sources of income. And I'll break it down what the 4 sources of income is. The first is your career, your job, what you're paid to do. It is your core competence. You're a doctor, you're a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant. That is your core competence. And there's nothing wrong with having a job. Never look at yourself as any less than, oh, I want to be, because the business people, they feel they can only make money if you're running a business. Yeah. You can make good money with a career or running a business. Don't look at the grass is not green on the other side. There's plenty of business people that will give it up right now to get a stable paycheck. It is not what you earn, it's what you keep and what you do with it. Yeah. Okay. So your job is one source of income. Your second source of income must have a side hustle, a shame money, a business that you're growing, because you never know, one day the owner of the job might come calling and get you out. Like they did with me in the financial services. One day I was in, the other day I was out. But thank God I had a little side hustle that I was just building, and I just focused on it. And today we have Money Stewards. So you have a job as one source of income. You have a business as another source of income. And sometimes the businesses, don't set up a business every time you want it to go massive. You have grand ideas. Not every business was meant to grow massive. Some businesses were just designed to pay your bills per time. And that's also honorable, okay? Then the third source of income is what I call consultancy and partnership. This is where you partner with somebody who is in a certain field or who has, we can do better than you in a particular field, and then you earn commission. Let me give you an example. We sell properties in 1 and 2 words. Some of my clients, they refer their friends and their families to me who buy properties from me. Those clients earn commission, and some of the commission is in the thousands of dollars. So it's very good commission, and they didn't sell the property. They didn't do any work. They just did a referral.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes make sure that when you're referring people, you're also calculating what is in it for me. You're not a charity case.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go back. Don't say, oh, please, this client I'm referring to, remember me, or when it clicks, remember me. Demand what is yours. I'd like to earn a referral fee, please, because I'm referring a client to you, a paying client. And sometimes you can trust the system that the person you're referring to will actually give you a referral fee. And sometimes they won't. But you know what? You can earn business money from referrals and consult and partnerships. And I've earned a lot of money referring people to other businesses, and they pay me referral fee. Like I said, they don't always do it, but sometimes they do. But that's a source of income that you can actually build. The last source of income is investments. You know what I say? This is what separates the boys from the men. It doesn't matter what you earn in your career. It doesn't matter what you earn in your business. It doesn't matter what you earn in your partnership consultation, or it doesn't matter what you earn anywhere, inheritance, you name it. If you don't know how to invest it, you are going to lose it. Investment is the ultimate multiplier effect, okay? You learn how to invest in homes, how to invest in what we call real assets and paper assets. And this is where you now talk about generational wealth, all right? And if you look at the Bible, which has always been the source of my inspiration, this 4 sources of income is articulately put in Proverbs chapter 31. The Proverbs 31 woman, what did she say? The Bible says she started with wool and flax. That was one source of income. Then the Bible says that she dealt with silk and purple. You know what that means? She was politically connected. She dined and wined with royals, and she got business opportunities from them, because you cannot deal in silk and purple with a regular person. Purple is won by royals.
Yeah.
Okay? The Bible says that she worked with a merchant ship from afar. She was not a merchant. She was not the captain of the ship. She partnered with people to ensure that her goods were exported to the right countries. So she had a series of partnerships going on. All this logistics company she was working with, that is partnership. All right. Yeah. And then lastly, the Bible says that she finds a field and she finds a field and buys. She considers a field and buys it. That's real estate. She does her due diligence and she invests in real estate. And with the earnings, she builds a vineyard. So she builds businesses that she could keep earning from. All right. And that's a retirement plan. Vineyard is actually a retirement plan, because if you look at vineyard, a vineyard, the grapes becomes concentrated and sweet in the 40th year. So she wasn't building to eat today. She was building for her retirement and also her unborn generation. And because why? Vineyards can last for 200 years. So she was building a business or a winery that she could use for her retirement, and also had children's children. And that is a woman. So never let anyone tell you that you were supposed to be in the kitchen forever. No way, or in the other room. You were built to be successful. A woman was providing for her children's children, our unborn generation. She was providing for her entire family. So there you have the 4 sources of income. Try and let the 4 sources work concurrently as much as possible. Sometimes it's just a business and investments you can do, but at least you know there are other opportunities. And sometimes it's just 1 or 2 you can do, but you have so many choices. There is no excuse. And there are many opportunities out there. Get one. You don't have to grab every single opportunity that comes your way, but the one you can do it well, and give it time. It takes time to build. All right. And may God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In fact, I don't want you to go. So that we can continue drawing from your wealth of knowledge, but it's so sad that we have to let you go. Thank you so much.
Every good thing must come to an end.
Yes. So we say thank you, and I know that all everyone here is happy to have you here today. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
God bless you. It's been a joy to be in front of all you fine people. God bless you.
Yeah, and you too.